boy. I'm sure glad we left the pool party, Trey. Math homework is way more fun.
Computer, that's the first thing you've ever said that doesn't add up.
You're so studious, Computer. Trey, you could learn a thing or two from his people. They're very wise.
The model minority at its core is a myth based on stereotypes. We all know the narrative perpetuated of Asian Americans being these polite, law-abiding, studious, uptight, musical, or mathematical geniuses. And although this doesn't seem like a bad thing on the surface, at the end of the day, all stereotypes will have a negative impact on the people that concern them. And to have this superior view of Asians definitely does more harm than good if we look at the bigger picture. However, before delving deeper into the topic, one may wonder, how did this model minority myth come to be? Well, most of it can be traced back to the media, but to fully understand the historical context of this stereotype, we have to go back to the 19th century, with the westward expansion in the States. As Chinese immigrants played a crucial role in the construction of the first transcontinental railroad, they became considered scourges and referred to as the Yellow Peril, a racist color metaphor that depicted East and Southeast Asia as a danger to Western civilization. In fact, due to Asian immigrants arriving in the US in large numbers to work in fields such as mining and construction, there was a growing resentment against them as the Americans saw them as people looking to steal their jobs. In other words, a rise of anti-Chinese sentiment caused many Americans to put the blame on Chinese workers for their economic struggles and viewed them as culturally and racially inferior. Even so that in 1882, in response to social pressure, Congress passed the Chinese Exclusion Act, which suspended Chinese immigration to the US for 10 years. So how did all of this change into what we see today with the model minority myth? It's in the mid-1900s that we really get to see a shift in Americans' view towards Asians with two main events. First, the Immigration and Naturalization Act of 1965 that abolished the quota system for immigration and also caused an influx of Asian professionals migrating to the States. Second, an article published in the New York Times by William Peterson about the apparent success of Japanese Americans due to their incarceration in internment camps during World War II was enough to bring about a shift in Americans' view of Asians.
When June cannot play the piano, Mother will discover my lie. It will be a big, big disappointment. I am the star of my family.
With that being said, what's so harmful about seeing everyone from a specific demographic as smart and more successful than others? To answer that question, first try to imagine yourself in the shoes of a young Asian girl with immigrant parents who's already struggling to identify with her background. To grow up consuming media in which Asians are often made to be the butt of the joke, reduced to a single trait, and fetishized, it's no surprise that some of that can become internalized. On one hand, seeing such portrayals of people that look like you on screen, in addition to being dubbed at school as the quiet Asian kid, can sometimes push one to mock their own background in order to separate themselves from those preconceived ideas. On the other hand, many individuals within the Asian community find themselves pressured to fit into that mold and inadvertently be in competition to live up to their peers. As for how all of this has had an impact on representation in film, this model minority trope was limiting to the type of roles available to Asian actors, confining them to characters that fit the stereotype and result in the lack of diverse and one-dimensional representations in the media throughout history. Not to mention the fact that there's been a known problem in Hollywood history with having white actors in yellowface play Asian roles and perpetuate stereotypes, such as the character of Mr. Yunioshi, a Japanese man played by Mickey Rooney in Breakfast at Tiffany's. Not only does the concept of the model minority group all Asians into one stereotype, it also glosses over the fact that not all Asian ethnic groups get the same access to opportunities. By focusing exclusively on what was and is being told and shown about this model minority, it can lead to the systemic barriers and discrimination against Asians being largely unacknowledged, resulting in a lack of empathy and understanding of the real struggles that many individuals within Asian communities face.
Oh, you're going the right way for a smack bottom, and I don't care who knows it.
Austin, this is my twin sister. Her name, fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck me.
To add on, various other tropes such as the Dragon Lady and Lotus Blossom Girl contribute to the fetishization of Asian women. If we tie it in with Laura Mulvey's theory about the male gaze, we can see how those stereotypes portrayed in film can be problematic and contribute to the bigger problem today concerning the sexualization of Asian women, not only in film but around the world as well. Speaking about the male gaze, if we focus on the Lotus Blossom girl, a stereotype often found in Western media where East Asian women are portrayed as exotic and submissive, it can be argued that this trope contributes to the objectification of Asian women in particular and caters to a male audience. The male gaze theory can also apply here to the cultural fetishization of Asian women, as the trope reduces individuals to cultural or ethnic stereotypes, with a focus on physical attributes that are perceived as exotic and appealing to the heterosexual male viewer. Fast forward to today, with the growing awareness of the way people of color have been represented in the media since the invention of cinema, significant efforts have been made to challenge the stereotypes related to certain groups of people. As for the model minority myth, although discussions and critiques regarding the trope remain relevant today, we have seen increased attempts in portraying more nuanced and authentic stories with complex Asian characters at the forefront, such as Devi in the Netflix series Never Have I Ever and Ellie Chu in The Half of It. All in all, to have Asian actors portray multi-dimensional characters that aren't just the typical uptight straight-A student is one way to challenge the model minority myth and address issues related to discrimination and racial profiling. Especially with the recent events such as the rise in anti-Asian hate crimes during the COVID-19 pandemic, we have opened our eyes and highlighted the importance of addressing such stereotypes in the media. Talking about these incidents and having conversations about the urgency of dispelling harmful myths makes way for fostering understanding among not only the Asian community, but different racial and ethnic groups that are subjected to their own harmful prejudices as well.
My journey started on a boat. I spent a year in a refugee camp. And somehow, I ended up here on Hollywood's biggest stage.